Once upon a time, there lived a man called Adisa. Adisa was a man so many men prayed not to be like. He was regarded as lazy and of no use. Adisa had no job. All he did was to play draft all day and drink with his friends. Most wives in the village warned their husbands against associating with Adisa. Adisa would go to parties he was not invited. So far there was food and drinks. He lived with his elder sister Ashake. He brought so much shame to his family. One day he attended a party he was not invited to as usual. In the middle of the party, the celebrant complained his money and gold ring was missing. Adisa was arrested because he wasn't invited. His sister Ashake had to sell her plot of land to bail him and repay the complainant, even though he was not the one that stole it. Adisa was ashamed of himself because of the kind of troubles he brought to his sister. As they walked home, Adisa promised to buy back the land someday. His sister waved it aside. Deep down inside her, she wondered where he would get that kind of money to buy back the land. Few weeks after, Asake fell ill. Adisa had no money to treat her. When her sickness was getting worse, the villagers had to come to her rescue. They rushed her to Baba Ilesomi, the strong native doctor. He tried his best, but Asake died. When Adisa got to the house that evening, he met people gathered. It was later they broke the news of his sister's demise. Adisa wept like a baby. What pained him the most was that he wasn't even there for her, neither could he give her a proper medical attention and care. Adisa said to himself, if only human beings had the power to know when they will die. Adisa got depressed and took to drinking. He was always drunk. One day he was coming back home at night when he heard a voice in the bush path. He paid attention carefully and he heard, "Hell, hell." He walked towards that direction and saw a bottle on the floor with smoke inside. He reluctantly picked up the bottle and broke it and was shocked when he saw a genie came out of it. He was scared and wanted to run, but the genie told him not to be scared. "You just saved my life," the genie said, "and I have been trapped in that bottle for over 50 years. But today, you came to my rescue and set me free. I want to show some appreciation." The genie asked Adisa to make a wish. Adisa smiled. He replied that he wished to have the powers to tell when someone is going to die. The genie took in a deep breath and said, "So be it. Henceforth you will see and know when people will die and who will be the next in turn to die." As Adisa was about to leave, the genie warned him that he should not use his new powers for financial gains except he was given voluntarily. After his encounter with the genie, Adisa woke up the next morning with a splitting headache and a hazy memory of the night before. As he stumbled through his day, he couldn't shake the feeling that something significant has happened. It wasn't until he saw his friend Dekunle at the draft board that he remembered the genie's gift. Dekunle looked different. A dark shadow hovered around him, and when Adisa looked closer, he saw a number above his head. 3. 3 days left to live, he thought. Adisa's heart pounded. He approached Dekunle cautiously, unsure of what to do with this newfound knowledge. "Dekunle, are you feeling alright?" Adisa asked, trying to sound casual. Dekunle laughed. "I'm fine, Adisa. Just thinking about the game." He smiled. "Are you ready to lose again?" Adisa's mind raced. Should he tell Dekunle about the shadow? Would Dekunle believe him? As he pondered, he decided to keep quiet for now. Maybe he could change Dekunle's fate somehow. As the days passed, Adisa's anxiety grew. On the third day, Dekunle collapsed during a game of draft. Despite Adisa's attempt to save him, he died before he could even arrive. The shock of losing a friend so suddenly left Adisa devastated. He had known, and yet he had done nothing. The weight of his power settled heavily on his shoulders. The news of Dekunle's death spread quickly through the village, and Adisa became more introspective. He realized that his powers came with a responsibility he hadn't anticipated. He vowed to use his ability wisely and to help others if he could. Adisa began to see the shadows and numbers everywhere he went. One evening, he visited his elderly neighbor, Mama Bola. Immediately, he stepped into her house. He saw the number 1 above her head, and he knew she had only one day left. Adisa couldn't bear to lose another person without trying to help. Mama Bola, he said gently, "Please let me help you. I think something bad might happen tomorrow." Mama Bola was a wise old woman with discerning spiritual powers. She smiled and patted his hand. "Adisa, my time has come. I have lived a fulfilled life. Don't worry about me. Just promise me you'll take good care of yourself." Her words comforted him, but as he left her home, he couldn't shake the feeling of helplessness. He had the power to see death, but he couldn't stop it. Soon, the whole village knew about Adisa's powers and visited him most times before taking decisions. Chief Ajala, the money lender, usually consulted Adisa before loaning people money to check their lifespan if they will be alive to pay back. On one occasion, Chief Ajala came with a client he was about to loan a lot of money. When they got to Adisa's place, Adisa saw the black shadow and the number 4 on the head of the client. That was how Adisa saved Chief Ajala from losing his money. In return, Chief Ajala gave him a huge sum of money as gift for helping his business. Adisa accepted it because it was a voluntary gift. Adisa's reputation in the village began to change. People noticed he has become more responsible and more serious about life. Whispers about his strange abilities spread. Some believed it was demonic, while others thought he was blessed. One day, a wealthy politician from the city named Okoro approached Adisa. "I've heard about your gift," Okoro said. "I'll pay you handsomely if you tell me when my rivals will die." Adisa remembered the Jane's warning. He shouldn't use his power for financial gain, but the offer was too tempting. He was tired of living in poverty and being seen as useless. Adisa struggled with the decision, knowing that accepting the money could lead him down a dangerous path. Against his better judgment, Adisa accepted Okoro's offer. He began providing the politician with information about his rivals, and in return, Okoro paid him generously. Adisa's life improved materially, but his conscience was plagued by guilt. He immediately contacted the man that bought the land from his sister, Ashake. He bought the land back for twice the amount. That day, he felt accomplished and wished his sister was alive to witness it. One night, Adisa had a vivid dream. The genie appeared before him, looking disappointed. "I warned you, Adisa. Your greed will bring you sorrow." Adisa woke up in a cold sweat. He realized he had betrayed the trust placed in him and the responsibility of his gift. He decided to return the money to Okoro, but Okoro had returned to the city then. and he didn't know how to find him. It was time to make amends and use his powers for good, he thought. The genie appeared again in his dream and told him that for going against the agreement, he will pay the supreme price and nothing can be done about it. Adisa began to seek out for those who needed help. He used his ability to comfort families, to prepare them for the inevitable end, and to encourage people to mend broken relationships before it was too late. His actions started to earn him respect and admiration from the villagers. One day, a young boy named Kola approached Adisa. "Mr. Adisa, my mother is sick. Can you help her?" Adisa saw the number 2 above the boy's mother's head. He knew she only had 2 days left. Instead of despairing, he spent those 2 days helping the family create precious memories. When she passed, Kola thanked Adisa for giving them the chance to say goodbye. Years passed and Adisa continued to use his powers to help others. He had become a beloved figure in the village, known for his wisdom and his kindness. Adisa got gifts in form of cash and land. He became very wealthy. Adisa later fell in love with a lady called Ajoke. Without wasting time, he started making arrangements to marry her because Ajoke was already pregnant. The wedding was well attended by dignitaries. As Adisa dressed up on his wedding day, Adisa saw his reflection in a mirror and noticed a shadow hovering over his own head with the number 7. Adisa was stunned. His own death was now imminent. He had 7 days to live. Rather than succumbing to fear, he used this time to put his affairs in order and to say his goodbyes. He took his time to go thank everyone that attended his wedding. He made peace with people and prepared for the last day. On the 7th day, Adisa passed away peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by those he had helped. His legacy lived on, and the villagers remembered him as a man who had transformed from a lazy, aimless soul into a wise and compassionate leader. Adisa's journey had come full circle, and he had fully found his true purpose. As his wife wept, she saw a note addressed to her. She opened it and noticed it was Adisa's handwriting, and it read, "Ajoke, my dear wife, if you read this letter, it means I have joined my ancestors. Do not weep for me, because I knew of my death 7 days ago. I am happy I was able to live a meaningful life, despite how I started. When you give birth, please name the child Araoluwa, which means the wonders of God, because God made it possible. Who would have thought that a once useless man like me will later live a life of purpose? All I had is now for you and the baby. Use them wisely till we meet again." Ajoke could not resist the tears.